Hello and welcome back to week 4 of the Sunken Submarine. I'm Sammy, here with David. David. And boy, oh boy, do we have another week for you. David is going to surprise me with a new segment this week. We have news. We have our top 5. We have singles, 1 or 2 albums, and some music videos. And then we'll go over our song recommendations.
Yep. A lot of news this week. A lot of weird news.
Yeah, a lot of interesting news. We had the Super Bowl last Sunday. So we're going to talk a little bit about the performance, what we thought, what we get it grade-wise. And, a lot of just interesting news. So, David, what have you been up to this week?
Job stuff. Making a video for somebody, but not for you. But I'm making a video. I got back into drumming, like, really hardcore again. It's kind of fun. Like, I was realizing I need to get some thinner sticks because I'm trying to play, like, really hard. And it's like, the sticks I have now are really thick, so eventually it kind of just gets back to your arms. But it's been fun. I've been enjoying getting back into it.
That's good. I have also been working on a video. I've been working on my job videos, but then outside of that, I've been working on your music video and a video for my sister. So
how are those looking?
I've also been making some videos. Video for my sister's done completely, so that's good news.
Mine's for my brother, ironically, actually.
Yours
but
is...
he doesn't know about it.
Ironic or coincidence?
It's coincidence.
Okay. So, and then yours is coming along nicely. I'm trying to make sure everything matches up, though. Having some trouble with that, but we'll get it, obviously. Yeah. So, I got some bad news this week, though.
21 Savage?
Well, yeah, but outside that,
yeah,
it's been 13,942 days without John Lennon. Unbelievable.
What do we do? I mean,
it's ridiculous.
That's too many days. We can't keep going on like this. We can't keep doing this like it's fine and not saying anything.
We need to stand up for what's right.
This is why people listen to us, and I'm so thankful that we have a platform where we can do this, where we can speak about the important things in the remembrance of a man who changed our lives.
58 more days, it's going to be 14,000. And people need to know this.
And then what are we going to do?
They have to know. Well, we're going to do a special episode.
Yeah,
14,000.
tune in. It'll be a good time. And now we are going to jump into this week's news, the most cutting-edge news of the past week. The very first one we're going to talk about is the Super Bowl was last week.
Yeah, let's kick it off with that. I agree.
And, of course, there's always some music-related things. I know many people had bets on what the very first song for the Super Bowl was going to be.
And then they played
Maroon
something
5.
from way back when.
It wasn't even on the list that you could bet on. I don't.
Yep.
Do you know what the song was?
I don't know it off the top of my head. I'd have to look it up.
Okay. The performance. Who all was in it? We had.
You had Maroon 5. You had Big Boy, and you had Travis Scott.
Travis Scott. Yeah, that's who it was. And I honestly think they did a pretty good job. I know a lot of people have mixed opinions on it, but
a lot of people hated it.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel that way.
I didn't get that. I know a lot of people, older people, were upset that Adam Levine took his shirt off and that he had tattoos.
Yeah, I get that. I felt like it was a decent performance by them. They could have had a better feature than... Travis Scott was decent, right? Because he's relevant right now. Yeah. But I get that it's more of Atlanta hometown based, but I think they could have put someone a little better than Big Boy in there for a brief
I was
second.
shocked that they put him in there. And my dad, who doesn't understand the look, was like, man, that guy must think it's really cold because he's got a very big coat on. But some of the highlights were the biggest troll of all time, which was a massive vote to play Sweet Victory from SpongeBob.
Which they teased to it. It's not even their song. And they did tease to it, but
That's why it's
everybody
the biggest
wanted
troll.
the full song.
They started to have the horns playing. They started the song. It even showed a clip of SpongeBob. And then right when people were getting
Sicko
so
mode.
excited, it cuts into sicko mode. Which Travis Scott is exciting for people, but that's the one way that you can let people down by having that song come on.
I agree. Outside of like Sweet Victory, I felt like it was a decent performance. I feel like the Super Bowl halftime show is hyped up to be something, when in all actuality it's just a performance, right? So I personally gave it like a B- for performance.
Okay.
I thought it was decent.
Also, I like the drones in the sky. That's neat.
It's not the first time that they've done that. They did that with Lady Gaga too.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that. That was pretty neat. And the other thing that I thought was funny is they shoot a bunch of fireworks off, and someone we were in the room with goes,
The stadium's
"This
closed.
stadium's a closed stadium. The people there can't even see the fireworks." So, I don't know.
The other thing that I wanted to comment on the Super Bowl, just music related, was that Chance the Rapper Backstreet Boys commercial.
Yeah, that was surprising mix-up.
It was, and it just wasn't even. The commercial could have been well done, and it just was like, we put the two musically made artists, I guess you could say. One is like really established,
Right.
and then the other is just an independent established, right? So I don't. It was just interesting. I think the commercial was looking more for having their name with their product than it was worrying about what actual content was put in the commercial. So other than that, that was I cannot find this song.
Oh, that Maroon 5 played?
Yeah, I'm looking for it.
Let's see if we can look that up. Maroon 5's
Super Bowl opening.
Super Bowl set list. Let's try that.
There you go. That should work.
All right. This will be a quick one. Harder to Breathe.
Okay.
Harder
So
to Breathe.
it was from their first album, I believe. Yes, it was.
I thought for sure
First album ever.
would be Sugar. That was the second last.
That's what I thought.
A lot of people thought it might be Moves Like Jagger. That was
No.
the very last.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be Moves Like Jagger.
So, yeah. And for those who cared, the Gatorade was blue this year.
It was blue.
It was blue. So that may be the most important thing. I don't even know who won the game. No, I'm kidding. I know.
All right. So the next news we have is 21 Savage got arrested and deported to UK. I don't know if he's been deported yet, but I know he got arrested because apparently he was an illegal immigrant from the UK.
Yeah, I guess.
What a weird story.
I guess Atlanta, Georgia is where he was. I guess that's one of the worst places for enforcement, or not worst, but like strongest enforcement of illegal immigrants against them. Very interesting. And what happened is his mom moved in on a visa and then overstayed it when he was 5. So he's been here since he was 5, but technically not legally because he wasn't born here.
How do people figure that out?
I have no idea.
Oh my gosh. And what's interesting is he just came out with an album and he's like one of the top artists of 2019 so far.
Yeah, I mean that album.
I think it was called "I Was, I Am," or "I Am, I Was."
Yeah,
a lot of memes coming from
the
that.
memes blew up.
A lot of memes coming from that.
Don't laugh. Don't say they're funny. Because Demi Lovato said that. She said during the Super Bowl, she tweeted something that said, these are the funniest. The 21 Savage jokes are much funnier and entertaining than the Super Bowl is, and people freaked out on her.
Really?
Yeah, all sorts of rappers and different artists all attacked her, saying like, "Look, he's in this terrible place now where he's gonna be sent out of the country, and you're making a mockery of it." Interesting,
Interesting.
because some of them
Backlash. Always backlash. You can't please everyone.
were very creative. It's a good word.
It's a good word. As we're both smiling over here.
All right, the next one on the list is just an allegation, but I mean it's a huge allegation. It's that Soulja Boy tied up his girlfriend with extension cords in his garage and left her there for 6 hours. Apparently, there was some sort of domestic dispute where she had one of his cars, and I don't know if she was allowed to or not to be driving it. Whatever, if he let her or not. She backed it down the driveway and hit a curb, and so he flipped out on her and tied her up. I shouldn't be laughing, but like, what?
That is so messed up.
Why does your mind go to tying somebody up
It's
in a garage?
just weird. I don't know.
I'm sorry.
I'm very curious to see what's going to happen with this. How weird, though. Oh, my gosh. All right.
But then what he does instead, because this story is even hard to find at this point. This happened 5 days ago because he came out and said he would fight Jake Paul. He's going to fight Jake Paul.
Of course, because he has to stay in the limelight.
He's going to try to stay in the limelight and get out of the bad light of tying up his girlfriend.
Oh, and fight somebody that's probably equally as hated? Okay.
You think Soulja Boy is as hated as the Paul
he's
brothers?
Gonna fight Paul, who's not liked.
Who's Paul?
Paul? Jake Paul. I would love to see him fight Logan Paul and just get destroyed.
I know. So.
It's just going to be a publicity stunt. That's what it is. That's what it was the last time. So, whatever. All right, the next little news we have is Marshmello held the first concert ever in Fortnite. It was live in Pleasant Park. Everybody knows what Pleasant Park is. Everybody knows what Fortnite is. Everybody knows who Marshmello is.
I don't understand.
I attended this concert.
Can you explain how this works? Because I don't understand this at all. How do you attend a concert? Like, was it in the...
It was in Pleasant Park. You dive in. Everybody dove to Pleasant Park because everybody knew this was happening.
Okay.
And then they have a stage, a venue, and he performed. And he did different songs. He played different songs. He played Logic's song. He played, what was that, Everybody, maybe? Something like that. Or Every Day.
Every day. I go hard every day.
Yeah, okay. And then the other one was Happier. I mean, he played a bunch of different songs. And he's up on stage, and then everybody else is out in the crowd dancing. 100 people on the server.
And no one shot each other?
No.
Did they take away your weapons, or?
No, it's just nobody shot each other. Everybody was enjoying the concert.
That's so weird. I like that. Was anybody doing like the dance moves and stuff?
Yep. Everybody was.
That's so crazy.
It was really cool.
Do you think concerts are gonna go this direction where all of them you can do like an AR experience and see somebody live and it feels like you're there?
No, I don't. I think Marshmello obviously has kind of had a deal with Fortnite. He already has in the past. And then like there was costumes that came out for this concert, and you could buy the costume. Obviously, I'm sure some of the proceeds went to Marshmello. And then if you attended the concert, you like unlocked a little thing for the costume.
Gotcha.
So I mean, plus Marshmello's always been a pretty big advocate. He's been playing with people like Ninja, people like Tim the Tap Man. He plays with these people often, so that's kind of what it is. I don't think it's going to go into other games. It's just not.
I feel like it's not going to go into other games, but I feel like these VR headsets you're going to be able to enter a live venue and pay $5 and watch a concert.
Maybe
with like one of those 360 cameras.
Yeah,
or
I know what
whatever.
you're talking about.
It's
That
gonna
could be.
start happening.
Sorry. Yeah, that could be. I don't know.
It wouldn't be somehow it would seem different. It's like it'd be watching like a something online still, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't know.
But it was cool.
I like going. I like going to the concert. I mean, that's all part of the experience.
But it was cool. It was worth it.
Fortnite's dying. They're trying to save themselves any way they can, and that just happens to be one of the ways. That's all.
The last thing on this list is just something I wanted to mention offhand because I mentioned this when I mentioned I got into drumming this week. It was because I watched Travis Barker on Joe Rogan's podcast.
One of the best drummers alive.
And I had mentioned earlier, probably the first or second episode, that I tried to go to a Blink-182 concert, and it was canceled because of Travis Barker's health, multiple different reasons. Somehow I didn't know that he got in a plane crash like 4 or 5 years ago with 6 people, and only 2 of them survived. I had no idea. He burned his legs up completely. And, like, he was in the hospital for, like, a year and had to, like, get skin grafts and everything. I guess what happened is the plane crashed. He realized he was alive. So he crawled up to try to save the pilots, realized they weren't alive, caught on fire because of it. And then he's like, holy crap, runs out the emergency exit and jumps into jet fuel. So now his shoes and socks are soaked in jet fuel, and he's just completely on fire running. And people from the street are yelling, stop, drop, and roll. He stop, drops, and rolls. The other guy who survived runs out to try to put him out and then ends up catching fire on his head and arm, I think, because of it. It's insane. I just had no idea that he went through that.
Yeah, that's pretty messed up. It's good to still have him here. That's just crazy story, though. Holy cow.
So now I'm like, 1, I recommend the podcast. 2, I guess he gets a pass for not playing the concert. I mean, I still wanted to see him.
You still wanted to see him live, though. I get it. You'll see him live. They'll keep performing. They're not gonna stop, especially after they realized after they released this album, they still have a heavy, heavy fan base. All right, so the next section we have is our top 5. And this week, we chose to do top 5 concerts we have attended. So in the past, we did a top 5 we want to attend. This is the top 5 we have attended. So I will kick us off today. And I will kick us off with number 5. Put Walk the Moon.
Ooh, Walk the Moon.
And their opener was Mr. Wives, and Mr. Wives is great for an opener for them. It set the mood right. And this happened to be on the day gay marriage was legalized nationally.
Oh, okay.
So and I could really much just kind of let you know, I think the lead singer is very much gay. And he was.
But is that alleged or has he come out?
I don't know.
Okay.
It just he talked and moved on stage in that type of way.
All right.
And it was just the way his composure, the way he carried himself. And so he was super into it. And he goes, "Today is such a magical day." And it was just interesting to see, and there's people out in the crowd with these gay pride flags. It was a really cool experience in this concert. It was awesome. That goes on my number 5 for sure.
Cool. That sounds awesome.
It was just a good experience overall. What's your number 5?
My number 5 on here is Paul McCartney. I got to see him. I was like a wish. I needed to see him before he died. I mean, he may have years to go. There was two parts that were
God forbid we don't need another issue here.
Yeah, there were two parts that were my favorite, and they were both right one after the other. He goes up on this pedestal without the band and just plays acoustic guitar, one spotlight shining on him. And he played Blackbird, which is a fantastic song, and then he played a song called If You Were Here Today, ironically about John Lennon. So it kind of fits for this podcast, but it was like, it's just a beautiful moment where he sings about if John Lennon were here today, kind of how things would be. And it was very sad and mellow.
That's like surreal, though. And
But
I'm sure
but to watch the actual legend of the Beatles sing about it is just, it was such a cool
There's got to be
moment.
a lot of emotion behind that. Every time you perform it. Yeah, I know, like, some of these artists say that these songs get old performing and things like that, but there's sentimental there, sentimental feeling.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So that was mine. Should I hop into number 4 then?
Yeah, why not?
My number 4 is Zac Brown Band, and I know that sounds like a weird jump, but the problem is when I saw Paul McCartney, his voice is already starting to go. So while it was a beautiful moment, Zac Brown Band, I've got to see them twice, so they were very similar both times. But the concert itself is one of the best sounding concerts I've ever been to. And the reason why is because they've got like 17 people on stage or something absolutely ridiculous. Stage presence itself is like fine, but it's one of the best sounding concerts I think I've ever been to. So
Yeah, because I've went and saw them live, and they really just didn't do much with their stage presence. It was more just, film, and then it sounded. That is one of the best sounding concerts I have ever been to. It was beautiful.
And I'm just such a big fan that it's hard to not get taken away by the music. So what's your number 4?
So my number 4 is Mike Posner and his Ninja concert here at the University of Dayton.
That was so cool.
It was probably one of my best sober experiences here at UD. It was amazing. It was the community coming together. He just randomly shows up and he just starts playing in the middle of Arch Street. He's jamming out on a guitar. He sends out a tweet and everybody was into it. And
that was so cool.
It was cool. It was really
I remember
cool.
being in class and getting a text from you or someone going,
Yeah, it was from me.
like, yo, Mike Posner's here playing.
And you were like, I don't care.
And I could hear it out the window. I hated Mike Posner before. So
That's what you said to me.
I
You're
could
like,
hear it
I
out
don't care. And I'm like, no, you need to come.
I
This
could
is a
hear
really
it out
cool
the window,
experience.
and I was like, boy, that does sound fun, doesn't it? You're right. I totally forgot I said I don't care.
Yeah, you said that to me, and I go, you just come, dude. It's an experience. And you're like, well, I got a test tomorrow. And I'm like, I don't care. I have a test tomorrow. Come here.
That being said, I would put that in one of my top moments at this school, too, once I actually got here.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great pick.
Yeah. So that's my number 4. My number 3 is Time Flies. And this may go into the fact that I just really like them,
Sure.
obviously.
I don't know. You've talked about this concert before. This isn't the first time I've heard
They
you
just
talk about it.
fill the stage with energy. They are off the walls. They're running around everywhere. And they're so real. They're just there. They're there with the crowd. There was one concert I can recall. I mean, I've seen them at least 20 times. I mean, it's disgusting how often I actually have seen them. But there's one concert that stands out specifically, and they lost power to the stage. And so what they did was they had everybody pull out their phones for flashlight.
Whoa.
So that was like the lighting. And then they just started jamming on guitar, and they played American Pie, and the entire audience was singing along with it, and they just played like just an acoustic concert. They just called an audible.
That's
They're really good at
incredible.
doing that anyways. The lead singer's name's Cal. He's a really good like freestyle artist. So like he'll have people send in tweets with words, and then they'll just pop up on stage, and he just starts rapping with the words. And
Oh, like
things
the Time
that.
Flies Tuesday sort of deal.
Yes, exactly. And because he always says, people always say it's fake, and then he pulls it out and he does it on stage.
Yeah, but what if he just planted people? Then he picks their.
Yeah,
tweets.
I mean that could be the case, but you got to do that because I've seen him in multiple places.
I totally believe it's real.
I mean, I believe it's real. So, and then the other thing is like they have the first time I ever saw them, they had like 3 encores, and they, each encore was just one-upping the next, and it was so cool.
Would they leave?
They played, they go
every
off
time?
the stage, and then people would just, it was so loud. It was piercing how loud it was. Everybody screaming, and then they came back on, and Under the Sea starts to play, like,
Yeah.
and then they just start throwing water bottles everywhere, and they're just spraying it. I was in the first, I was obviously right up front, and they're spraying it all over me, and I was just, it's an awesome concert. I love Time Flies live. It's just, and I love them. I've always liked them. So, what's your number 3 now that I've went on a little rant?
My number 3 is Panic at the Disco. I saw them not too long ago, and I don't know why, but I just thought it was a fantastic concert. They were all over the board, because. And this is Panic, the new Panic now, with just what's his name as the lead?
Brennan Urie.
Brennan's extremely talented, first of all, but it was the Death of a Bachelor tour, and you know that I love the song Death of a Bachelor. It'll get me up and going. But he played like this Sinatra-esque kind of vibe, walking through the crowd of people, which was whatever. And then just the songs, everybody there knows them from just over the course of years. I don't know. It was a neat concert to be at. Really
they just
enjoyed
performed in Ohio like last week or 2 weeks ago, and I was so tempted to spend the $150 to go and see them. I couldn't do it though. I couldn't pull the trigger, but I really want to see Panic live. So I get where you're coming from. In fact, after you said that, it's funny because I was like just kind of looking up artists earlier, and I saw Panic, and I went, man, that should have been on my top 5 to go and see.
Yeah, that's true.
I really want to see
That's a
him
good point.
live. I want to see, I don't know. That's something I really want to see, though. So what's your number 2 then?
My number 2 is one that I've mentioned seeing live for, is the Doobie Brothers, because they're the best jam band that maybe the last jam band I'll ever see, where they start a song, play for 10 minutes of them just jamming, each showing off how incredibly talented they are. I mean, these are legends. They're rock legends. And then they go back into the end of their song, and I don't know. It was so neat to watch. It was one of the cooler concerts I've ever been to.
Interesting.
Great stage presence, great sound, and very fun to see people at their peak talent.
And you said that they were just kind of improvising with one another?
It appeared that way. I mean, maybe they planned it out.
If they were in that much sync, it had to have been planned out.
It's hard to know.
It is.
Jam bands are bands. It's like kind of a category of bands that just don't stick to the script when they do concerts. That's really it. You go to a concert today, they press play, the background music comes on, and then someone sings over top of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a completely different thing.
Yeah, I get that.
What is your big number 2?
So my number 2 is the band you really want to see. It's Blink 182.
You jerk.
And My Chemical Romance opened for them.
Are you serious?
Uh-huh.
When was that?
And this was, I want to say 6th grade. I was young, 5th or 6th grade, and I didn't understand the significance of the concert when I was there. This is one of my first concerts, and it was really, so Blink had both singers, and I didn't realize the impact it was going to have later on in life, right?
Yeah.
Watching this concert, I was like, okay, this is cool, but like, and my buddy and my buddy and his dad kind of let me come with. I didn't really have an attachment to Blink at the time. I didn't really have an attachment to My Chemical Romance. I knew of both of them because of my buddy, but they were into it, and I was just kind of there, right? Looking back on it, that is one of the best concerts I've been to. It was well done. Now that I've gone to a ton of them, I definitely should have enjoyed that experience so much more.
Right.
And like I said, I didn't understand
That's
to the
so
degree
incredible to me.
of like My Chemical Romance breaking up. I didn't think that this stuff was going to happen. So to be able to say that I went and saw them, shout out Zach, getting me in on that one. But it's something. It's something. It was amazing. It was amazing. And they're all up there swearing their heads off, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
It
for
was
you,
cool.
that was probably really weird back at that time.
Yeah, no.
No.
I've had my mouth since a long time. All right, number 1.
All right, so we both have the same number 1, I think. So I guess we'll just say that on the count of 3.
1, 2, 3,
21 Pilots.
Okay. So which one? Because I know you've seen them multiple times.
I've seen them four times now. We're going to see them again this summer.
Yes, we
It's
are.
going to be great, obviously. If I were to put all of them in here, they might fall in between some of these. But I will never be able to not say that the very first one I went to at a place called Bogart's, 1,500 people. That's like nothing compared to where I've seen them now at Ohio State's biggest basketball stadium.
50,000.
Yeah.
They're selling out arenas.
But I had the opportunity to see them at a sold-out show, Cincinnati, 1,500 people, and the lead singer was so innocent in a way. Like, he would say, "Guys, it's my mom's birthday. She's right up there. Everyone turn around and clap for her. And we'll sing happy birthday for her." Like, it's so weird now that they're these mega stars to have been there. And there was some weird stuff too. Like, they would do the monster thing, like throw a monster out, kind of like people would do at Warped Tour. But at one point he gets up on a speaker, the lead singer, and goes, "All right, now all the guys, don't be weird about this, but everyone take off your shirt." And everyone took off their shirt. He's like, the count of 3, everyone swing it, and then the beat goes na 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 na, and then everyone goes like this. It was weird.
That's kind of cool though.
But the rest of it was one of the coolest concerts I've ever been to. Lights everywhere, backflips, everything. They're insane.
They're
every
psychotic, and I mean, so is their fan base. We've talked about this before. We're cult-like fan base. I'm obviously guilty of that. I also said the first time I saw them was better than the second time. I've only seen them twice. Oh, sorry. But the first time, there was just a moment in the concert where I kind of realized what I am doing with my life and what I want to do. Kind of like a weird thing, but it was just, it hit home. And I came to and was realizing this is amazing what
Isn't
they're
that
doing.
insane how music or concert could do that somehow?
Yeah. And
Wow.
and then the second one, it was interesting because I had a moment like that in the second one. And it's during their closing, and their closing is one of the best closings I've ever seen. Their closing is amazing. The amount of confetti that comes out, they're in the crowd. It's amazing. I mean, they're crowd surfing. They're crowd pleasers, right? So, and there was just this moment where I looked around, and it was before, the confetti comes up, and they're doing their drum solo out in the crowd. And they're playing this song, and I'm looking around me, and there's so many people, like, crying. Because of what Pilots has done. Like, I mean, like, they have saved people's lives. Like, people have not committed suicide because of Pilots, right? And it was surreal to look around me and see these people. There's a few people crying, and there was a few people that were just caught in the moment, and that was something, because I was obviously in the moment too, but I was in a little bit of a different moment, realizing the people around me and the situation that was going on.
Yeah,
And
that's incredible.
it was awesome. So, but the first concert, I just liked a little more for myself, just because it was I was dying to see them, and I finally got to see them.
So do you think that was because it was your first time, or do you think they're slowly running out of energy?
No, not at all. After seeing them the second time, I can reassure you they're not running out of energy.
Okay. I mean, I would agree.
But
because
it's just a little bit of different
They
concert,
took out
that's
things like, instead of taking your shot off and doing this, now he gets in a ball and goes on top of the crowd in a
no,
blow-up
not anymore,
ball.
but yeah.
Yeah, or did for a little while, or they just keep inventing new
And
ridiculous
they
things.
legally can't do the rafters anymore. It's a liability issue. They can't climb up the rafters.
Didn't stop them before.
But they found ways to go around it this new concert. I'm not going to go into detail, but it was pretty cool. So, overall, yeah, that's
our top 5.
That's our top 5 right there.
All right, now we are going to jump into our new segment of the week, which Sammy forgot about.
I totally forgot about it. I was ready to go into albums.
So,
all right, new segment.
Go ahead and just go on the drive. I think you already have it up, and play our listener comment that we're gonna react to. Now,
where's this at?
It's click on the
Am I
thing on the
missing
left,
it?
the tab on the left at the top.
Okay.
Right there.
Oh.
There you go.
Oh.
And we'll see what this is. I actually have no idea what this is.
You haven't played it yet?
I
Is
know-
this like a call-in?
I know who it's from, but I have no idea. I haven't
Who's it
listened
from?
to it.
Well, we got to say who it's from
No,
before we
we
play
gotta.
it.
I was told to just play it by this
Okay.
person.
All right. You have not listened to this.
I have not. I have no idea what this is. And if we don't like it, we can cut it out of this section.
So this is almost like a call-in then.
Just
right?
double click on it. It'll play.
Okay. All right.
Hi, Sammy. Hi, David. The name's Carl. I love your show. Sammy, you got the voice of an angel. David, you have the voice of a sandwich. I wanted to call in to comment about something. You guys always go on and on about how great John Lennon is, but he's not so great. He's not even the greatest Beatle. The best Beatle is obviously Ringo Starr. First, just compare their names. Starr is a heavenly body. Lennon is a Russian communist. Have you ever considered how important the drummer is? If he plays at the wrong tempo, the whole band gets messed up, and the song sounds terrible. And if he plays too loud, you can't even hear anything else at all. And don't forget who sung the lead vocals on your title song, Yellow Submarine, Mr. Ringo Starr. So I say, rest in peace, Ringo Starr, in your bed tonight, because you're still alive. Peace, guys.
All right, David, how about you make the first comments? So Carl is your brother.
Yeah, that was my brother. That was that was very weird. First of all,
It was an interesting take, though.
I don't think he's. I don't.
You're collecting yourself. You're like, okay, what do I say here?
I don't think he's right. First of all,
Well, no, obviously he's not. I mean, John Lennon is easily the most important Beatle.
and what was that about the lead vocal being Ringo for Yellow Submarine? Is that right?
I didn't know that he was the lead. I thought he was a backup for that song. But I could definitely be wrong. But that's not the point. The point is, let me explain something to Carl here. I understand without a drummer you don't hold the tempo. Without a drummer that maintains, the drummer is basically the guy that's in.
He is right.
In charge,
He is right about Yellow Submarine.
All right. Well.
All right.
That's
Go ahead.
interesting.
Sorry.
No, but to continue, you can't have a successful band without a lyricist, though. And I'd love to see if Ringo Starr wrote some of the Beatles' music. I don't really know if he wrote more or less, but I just feel like Lennon had to have written more.
He did. Ringo wrote Octopus's Garden, and I'm pretty sure he also wrote Yellow Submarine, if I remember correctly. Those are his 2 songs. He only wrote 2.
Okay, see, so that's the other thing. So Lennon is a key component to this band and is needed for the band's success.
There's a famous quote by Paul McCartney where he's asked, "Do you think Ringo Starr is the best drummer in the world?" And he goes, "Well, no, I don't. Ringo's not the best drummer in the band."
I remember that. I've seen that before.
So, Carl,
Lennon's probably the better drummer, too.
I think you are incorrect. And I think that there's no reason to pay homage to somebody who's still alive. And no one goes to his people go to his concerts, but people don't go to his concerts like they would for Lennon.
Because John Lennon has the name
Of a communist. And now we're going to jump into this week's albums. We've got 1 album and 1 EP that we're going to cover. The first one is obviously one we mentioned last week, one that's been long awaited.
Yeah, we've been mentioning this since season 1, basically.
Since episode 9 of season 1, if you really wanted to know. And that is the album Thank You Next by Ariana Grande. Is that not what it's called?
Ariana Grande. You got it right. Yeah, it's called Thank You Next.
You're
right.
You had that confused look. I didn't know what you meant.
No, you're right. So, David, what do you think of this album? I personally really, really enjoyed the beats on this album. I thought that is what steered the album, and that is what drove this album. I think without the beats, it was eh. But those beats are so nasty. I picture, like, and I said this to you, I picture rappers getting a hold of some of these beats at some point. Maybe her doing a remix album, something like that. Because some of these things are nasty. I don't know. That's kind of where I sat with it. Outside of the singles, I'd say my favorite song was Break Up With Your Girlfriend, I'm Bored, or I also really liked Bad Idea. How about you? I know, I just figured I'd give you my opinion first.
All right, no, I liked it. I agree to a certain extent that the beats were vital in this. However, I still think there's a few songs on here that the beat was lacking, like Ghostin', that is still one of the better songs on here because of the lyrics and the story that it tells. Everybody knows, I shouldn't say everybody, but we've been following this story of Ariana Grande for the most part. She's had a lot of weird things go through her life recently that have been bad. The first one that started that off was when she was performing in, I think it was London, and there was a bombing at one of her concerts
I
where
forgot about that.
20 people died.
Totally forgot about that.
20-something people.
Yeah.
So that one was the first one, and she talked about that somewhat in her last album, Sweetener. And this one is more about, and especially the song Ghostin' is talking about her with butthole eyes and her ex. Okay, so she was dating Pete Davidson, got engaged, had the rings, which I am guessing is what Seven Rings has to do with, and then somebody broke up with the other person. I actually don't know who based on these songs in that relationship, and that ended. Ghostin' explains why they broke up, which is because her ex, Mac Miller, passed away from overdose. And when he passed away, she was completely torn up by it. And Pete Davidson was upset that she was crying about it, basically. He didn't want, he was hurt by it. He didn't want to be hurt by it, but essentially he was like, look, this is your ex that's in the past. And it hurt him that she was so caught up on this guy still. That's basically what the song is saying. And I thought that was a very interesting story.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, I mean, we're never going to know all the details, no matter how many songs or how many times they come out and make a public statement. But I don't know. I thought for sure, I agree with you, the lyrics behind the album were very heartfelt. I agree.
But, again, I do agree with you. There were some really good beats. It took me a little bit to understand what the NASA thing was about, like wanting space and all that. I didn't get that at first. That was kind of clever. NASA.
It was, yeah, I mean, that was clever. She had a lot of clever. The Needy song, too, was kind of clever.
What was that?
She was talking, it starts off as she could be needy. Then it starts off as, you need me. That's what it goes into. So that was kind of interesting the way that the lyrics went in that song as well. I don't know. Overall, I thought it was a decent album. I know when you initially texted me, you were like, nah, not that great. And I was like, give it another listen. And then we met up today, and now I'm sitting here thinking, nah, not that great. And you're like, well, I kind of liked it. So,
I do. I could keep listening to it.
I think it's interesting that I kind of grew out of it and you grew into it.
That is funny.
That's interesting.
One more thing, just because we've been doing this, I've gotten sort of into the drama of it all, I guess. The song In My Head is about Pete Davidson and how she thought he was a good guy, even though everyone said he was like a demon the whole time, and she painted a picture of him well in her head. She also says in that song that, like, he broke up with her. And that's not been the story. Everyone's getting mad at her for ending it. So that's kind of a big deal if that turns out to be true, because there's been so much pressure on her for screwing up on that. So I think Butthole Eyes...
I mean, it doesn't help that you come out with a song called Thank You Next right afterwards. I mean, just saying. Whatever. I'm just saying.
So I think Butthole Eyes is crying and cleaning off those little poop particles from his eyes, and maybe they'll be back to normal.
One day. The next little EP we had was The Love Train, Meghan Trainor. I thought the best song from the entire EP was called Marry Me. Thought it was a cute little song. Much slower for her. And it didn't have the 60s, 70s vibe that she has had in the past. That's kind of where I sat on it. What do you think?
I really liked the song Foolish. It's got just such an interesting beat to it.
I like the bridge of Foolish. I really like the bridge of Foolish. That was about it, though.
I just thought it was very interesting. It's not linear, the beat. Marry Me was really good too, I agree. Totally different.
So those are basically the two bigger albums that were released this week. Next up on our list of to-dos is singles. David?
That's me.
David Banner. All right, so...
Oh, I meant single, not David.
Oh, you're single? Hey, I feel you.
Yeah, if only people would talk. Speaking of talk, that's our first single.
I could only imagine.
Our first talk is
I don't think that's what the first single is called. That's why I'm saying wait a second. The first single is called Talk. The issue is
I had
You know
no
what?
doubt it was called Talk,
I
by the way.
got nothing. The issue is on the album art it says Khalid or Khalid.
And then it says
Talk.
Talk in like 4 times bigger font.
For some reason I thought there was something before. Forget it. It's a misunderstanding. So for this single, I actually really liked it. What did you think? I liked the beat. I just love his voice. I love his voice. For some reason, there's something about his voice that like resonates with me. And every one of the songs that he's in, I like. And I like the slower stuff.
I think this is my single of the week.
Really?
I love this song. I was super into it.
I really liked it as well. I don't know if it was my single of the week, though.
I think I know what yours was, which we'll get to, but I think this is mine. I love his voice. I love his style. I love his slow beats and how smooth he is with it every time.
Every time. No, I do agree with that, though. There's something about his voice with like a slow beat. It's so good. So good. What did you think was my favorite song? Because then we can go and talk about that.
Just because you texted me about it, I think it would probably be Better When You're Gone.
By David Guetta featuring Brooks and Lute. You are incorrect.
Really?
Good song.
All right, well,
I enjoyed it.
Let's talk about that song real quick.
Yeah, we'll talk about it since we're mentioning it. We're just having a conversation. You know, that's what a podcast is. Anyways, I did enjoy this song, and I did text it to you because I was... But last night I was kind of in it like an electronic mood. And this song, I saw that it was released, and I got excited, and I just sent it to you. Plus, it did sound a lot like the other song that I sent you. Let it be, let it for something.
I'm not exactly sure. I didn't actually end up looking that up, but this is a good song. It's for some reason the transitions seem extremely unprofessional to me.
Sorry.
By
David Guetta, same artist.
Okay. Isn't it just Guetta? I'm
Guetta,
pretty sure.
Guetta,
Okay.
yeah. But yeah, it's the same style, and that's why I thought that. Anyways, you were saying something about the transitions.
I think the transitions sounded really amateur in this song. I liked where each part went, but I feel like in between the two was extremely amateur. But maybe it was intentional.
No, but I agree because there were some parts where it was building up, and then there was nothing. It just kind of changed. And I didn't like that too much.
You dropped your phone.
Thanks. I didn't like that too much, and I just so I get where you're coming from. That's why this wasn't my single of the week, is because I thought it had potential with some of its build-ups,
Right.
and then it didn't get anywhere.
All right, so let's keep playing this game then. I'm going to try to guess what your song of the week was. Was it
I mean, there's only so many. Eventually you'll get it.
Who Do You Love by the Chainsmokers? What does that mean? I don't know what laughing is. Laughing a almost yes?
It's
no.
No, yes. This is an almost yes. This is probably my number 2 this week.
Okay.
Who Do You Love? I don't know if this is my number 1 though. This is my number 2. I personally thought this is the Chainsmokers' best song since Closer. They've came out with 2 or 3 albums since then, and nothing they have produced has been like. Even the song with Coldplay was kind of like okay. But
yeah,
this
I didn't mind that.
song I really liked.
I agree with you that this is one of the better Chainsmokers songs. Unfortunately, the reason why is I think the 5 Seconds of Summer parts.
Oh, I mean, they carry it. Lyrically, they carry this song.
Which makes it much, much better when they come in. I don't know. But I did enjoy both parts of the song.
No, I totally agree. All right, keep guessing. Eventually, you're going to get it. There's only a few left that you know that would really be the ones this week.
Holding Hands.
There it is.
Okay.
That is my number
By
one this
Quinn
week.
XCII.
1995.
And featuring
Elohim.
Elohim. How are you?
Wait, I'm a her. Him, her?
Hello, her. How are you?
All right, so
What was with that call-in earlier? That was weird.
Yeah, who is that guy?
I don't know.
Anyways, this was probably my single of the week. I really liked Holding Hands. I think this solidifies that this album that's coming out next week, that Quinn's releasing,
It's next week?
is going to be, yes, it is.
Yikes, I got a lot to listen to before March 1st.
And I think it's going to be a slower album. I do. I think this solidifies it because there's one fast song out of the 5 that have been released.
Okay, slower than what?
His past stuff.
His past stuff was already kind of slow. Other than his like bigger songs.
But this stuff's just kind of, it seems like it's going to be even slower.
Right.
I don't know. That's
Okay.
just, that's
Yeah,
that's
no,
the
I
vibe I
agree.
got from
Fantastic song,
this.
Quinn. So excited to go see him.
Thanks for the invite.
I'm sorry. Hey, we're paying a lot of money to stay up there, so you're saving yourself some dough.
Oh, thanks. The next song we're going to talk about is Sellout by Marshmello featuring Sudden Death. I didn't like the song. It's not my style of music, and I don't expect that from Marshmello. It's dubstep.
It's dubstep.
It's dubstep.
Exactly. It's Skrillex from 2009. It's
That's what it felt like.
old Skrillex.
So that was my opinion on it. That's all I had
I
to say
agree.
about it.
It's fine. I don't know who Sudden Death is. No idea.
Another EDM kind of person.
Okay. Maybe he's the one that ruined it. Next one on here is Ferrari by Cheat Codes featuring Afrojack.
I never got the chance to listen to this one, so David, this one's all on you.
Mostly, I thought this song was a little bit And Cheat Codes, I've liked some of their songs. This is not one of their top songs. It's kind of boring, not that exciting. I don't think you missed too much. So, we'll move on.
Aren't they kind of an electronic music? Or
Or
are they alternative?
Cheat Codes. I looked them up earlier because I was trying to remember.
Well, I mean, Afrojack, they're more electronic, but
Pretty Girl. Oh. Their number one song is called Sex.
okay. I don't know much about cheat codes.
And I know that song. I remember that song.
All right. So the next single we have is Position to Win by Migos. And this song was just your stereotypical Migos song. I like the beat. It's more of a trap sounding beat. But I felt like the rapping lacked a little bit this time for Migos. And that takes a lot for me to say that because I'm a fan of Migos.
Yeah. So it didn't amp you up or anything?
No, it was even Quavo just kind of just hit it low. That's all it was. So didn't really resonate. That's all.
The next one on our list is Proud of You, Earth Gang featuring Young Thug. Did you happen to hear this one?
I did, but I don't remember it.
That's sort of where I fall as well. This song was mediocre at best. Not a lot of it. Didn't seem like it was a very well planned out song. I mean, sometimes you put together a song and it's a craft. This felt more like a little scrap project.
Like it was
from
just
a
kind of thrown
kindergartner.
together.
Yeah. So
Yeah, because I saw that you added it to the list, and I went, okay, I'll give it a listen. I listened to it, but I genuinely can't tell you what I heard.
I thought because Young Thug was in it that it was gonna be something bigger than it turned out to be. That's all.
All right, so now we're going to hop into country. We have two bigger singles this week that were released. Y'all Boys, Florida Georgia Line featuring Hardy. I think it's funny because this is right after they released a song called Women.
Women.
And this song is more about, like, being with the boys, the party boys.
That is a little ironic, isn't it?
It's a coincidence. I will say, this song was a wannabe boys round here. That's what it felt like to me.
It's a good way to put it, actually.
So,
But that being said, Boys Around Here is a fantastic song, and this still was pretty good. I think this one's still going to hit the charts pretty well later on.
I think Women will.
Women
for
already
sure.
has,
I mean,
hasn't it?
I'm sure it has. Just with, with the whole having Jason Derulo on any track is a good thing for you. But I also felt like the song itself was pretty meaningful, and I thought it was good. So, and then Y'all Boys, it was good, but I don't know if this is going to be up on the charts. We'll see. I could be wrong. And then the last country song we have is Good Vibes by Chris Jansen. David, I don't know if you got to listen to this one.
I didn't. I was just looking at that.
It's actually easily, I'd say, one of my favorite country songs released in the past few weeks.
What kind of vibes did you get?
Good vibes.
That's weird.
Yeah, you know what?
For the chance. Next, we are going to cover this week's biggest music videos and the ones that we found specifically most interesting. The first one we are going to start with is Ariana Grande, once again, because we can't stop talking about her.
She's good at staying in the limelight, baby.
Even if we wanted to.
So she came out with a music video for her song on the album called Break Up With Your Girlfriend on Board. Music video is pretty predictable. You think that the entire music video you think is, the guy wanting Ariana Grande, and then they're going to end up together in the end, and then you find out that Ariana Grande ends up with the girl in the end.
Is the girl's name Ari?
I don't know. They look very familiar, like very, very similar. And then it's funny because they do this one cut, and I immediately was like, oh, how original, where she's looking in the mirror and she turns into the actual girlfriend. And I was like, how original was that? But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. It was. She's on the prowl, I would say, looking for a boy, and
ends up with a girl.
kind of just seems like a jerk, honestly.
She's bored. What can you say? I don't blame her.
That's true. I feel bad for her.
So that it was a decent music video. That's all I really have to say. It was nothing like her "Thank You Next" video.
Not at all.
It was almost
or like Seven Rings.
Yeah, it was almost like it was just thrown together, and they were like, "All right, let's produce it. The album comes out tomorrow." Looking at your notes, find anything interesting?
No.
All right, so the next music video we have is "A Lot" by 21 Savage featuring J. Cole. I kind of dig this music video. I want to be honest. I really liked the contrast of showing people formal dress wear and then cutting to their inner demons of what's actually going on outside of what we're seeing. Because I think that speaks truths. I think everybody is going through experiences and going through a lot.
Ha.
And I mean, I just thought that was a really unique way to show it, where you show, somebody formally dressed at a dinner table getting served, and then all of a sudden you show them, half beaten to death with a gun to their head. I was really interesting. It opened my eyes.
I couldn't agree more. When I first heard this song, I kind of just threw it in the wastebasket as a But in lieu of what's going on with him right now, where he is going through a lot, potentially getting deported from the country he was raised in, and it started to make me listen to what he was actually saying. And I don't know, one of the points he mentioned something happened to his brother. Like his brother was killed. And I don't know if that's actually true or not because I don't know much about him. But that part of the song got to me. Him talking about his brother and how that hurts him. And I just thought that was very interesting. Because when I think of 21 Savage, I don't know why, but I've been less inclined to take him as a serious artist. And this sort of changed my perspective a little bit on that.
I agree with that completely. So, yeah, that's that song, and I just really liked, like I said, I liked the contrast. I liked the way they did it.
Next one on our list is
Going Bad
by
Meek Mill featuring Drake.
featuring
Drake. I actually like this music video as well. I thought it was very artistically done. There's an artistic style there. And I mean, Drake's videos are always pretty artistic, but I don't know, I liked it. I liked this one.
I was a little bit surprised. And one of the things that I liked about it is it would cut to like
Random pictures.
it would show a story of a party with like 3 pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And
it was almost like they were gambling. And that's what we come to find out is that they were gambling on horses. It was really cool.
But they show a party as like almost like you've drank so much that you only remember these little pictures of a party, you don't remember the whole thing. It kind of was doing that for a little bit before it got to the gambling. Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this music video a lot.
What do we got next?
Next up, we're going to do Women by Florida Georgia Line featuring Jason Derulo. I liked it. I mean, it was just them singing and creating the song.
Here's my opinion. I like the song. I think this music video is so unbelievably cheesy. This is not how they came up with this song. No way. They came up with all of this later on.
This was all mediocre film work anyways.
Yeah.
I mean,
very cheesy video in my opinion.
Cheap. It was cheap.
That's
the way I see it.
That's not how they came up with the song. They probably had someone else write it for them and come up and bring it to them, honestly.
Exactly. So, I don't know. The song itself, great song.
I like it. Yeah, I do.
All right, the next music video we're gonna talk about is "Kids Turn Out Fine" by A$AP Rocky. This one, if we're talking artistic, this one's the most artistic, and I loved this music video. I loved the constant panning of stills. I mean, and those people, that was actual video.
Yeah.
The people were just standing still. It was, I loved it.
That was unbelievable. And I totally didn't understand what they were going for with it either until it shows towards the end of the video. It's sort of like he's going through slides, like an old slide reel, except it's video slides, so it's not something that actually exists. But like, I love how there's that little bit of graphic art that moves around like a little scribble that looks like LSD. It's supposed to like show you his LSD trip.
Yeah.
And it moves to each little interesting thing you're supposed to look at.
You're supposed to look at. I mean, it was
so cool.
That was really interestingly done. I like that.
Could you imagine watching that on LSD?
No.
Because that like was like looking at it was taking my mind and going like, whoa, I don't even know how to like look at this. But I feel like if you were on something, you could understand it fully.
I feel like it would also be a little more scarier of a video. The whole test subject thing is kind of weird. I don't know.
It's a normal day for me.
All right, and then we technically missed 2, but we forgot to watch them. So, and then on top of that, some of the other music video releases this week were Blow That Smoke. We did a review on this earlier, but this is a remix. Completely different video. Mile High, James Blake featuring Travis Scott and Metro Boomin. It was kind of just like a Get Out-esque music video. Can't Say Travis Scott riding a motorcycle the entire time, and Never Stop, Future, and he's dancing around in a motel hallway the entire time. So the last segment we have is our song recommendation segment. And what you guys just heard is a little bit of the song that David recommended to me last week. It is by Tropodelic, called Alcoholic. Now, I really like the bass undertone in this song. I love that that's kind of what carries the song. And then I love the sax over it. So overall, that was kind of the big thing that stood out to me. And then obviously the lyrics, the most truest lyrics out there. Yeah, overall, I liked it. This is not something that I would choose on, a daily. But it was decently good. I really liked that bass to guide. I mean, that's I don't know. I like that just because I don't know if many songs use that anymore, and I think more songs should use that.
And I love it when they do. I agree with that.
So that is what I felt about it. I like the song, but it's not something that I would listen to all the time.
Okay.
So for you, next week, my song recommendation for you is going to be by the band called Free Energy, and it's going to be off of their first album back in 2010 called Stuck on Nothing. I don't think this band is no longer together.
That's probably because their concerts were free.
But how do you know that there was energy there?
I mean, isn't that what you try to do? That's what they're advertising.
True. But yeah, so I don't know if they're necessarily together just because they basically shot themselves in the foot and didn't really like the company that was producing for them, and they created their own, and that never goes over well.
Never.
So I'm looking at the songs on this album. They're all really good. I'm going to say you should listen to... Let's go with Free Energy, the self-entitled song. That's the song I want you to listen to.
Self-entitled? That's what you said. You said self-entitled.
That's the song I want you to listen to.
It's an entitled song?
Yeah. You're right. It's either that one or Bang Pop. I think
I'll listen to both, and whichever one I like is going to be
Free Energy or Bang Pop. Both are great.
Okay.
Choose one of those.
Like it. And that concludes the Sunken Submarine podcast for week 4 of season 2.
Feels real good. I'm surprised we've stuck with it this long, David.
I'm
to
not.
be completely honest.
We're having fun. It's a good time.
We are. You asked me earlier this week, why do we do this?
That was not intentional, by the way.
And did you enjoy my answer? I basically said, because we're having fun and we're producing good content.
Yeah, I mean, I meant to say, when are we going to do this? And it said, why? And then Sammy gave this really good answer that I'm like, we should keep doing this. You're right. You're right.
So anyways, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Tune in for more next week. And some song review and more news and everything like that. Thank you.
Absolutely. And we'll come back next week with a overview of Bryce Vine's concert.
Yes, because we're going together.
It's going to be wild.
R.I.P. John Lennon. Goodbye.
It's been too many days!